Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Grandmaster Shaymin, and today we're going to go on to another episode of Fatal 12. In the last episode, our new kind of central character, Federico, followed this guy, Ro, but it turns out Ro had known about this and ended up confronting Federico and Odette. And this case, Odette just blew this guy to smithereens, just verbally destroyed this man. And basically he's got until Sunday at noon, apparently, to live before Odette probably destroys this man. So we left off as Ro has outright vanished by the time Federico and Odette leave the hotel to get some food. Federico actually feels pretty bad when he thinks about how Ro is probably spending what little time he has left with his family. That being said, the fact that I'm here enjoying some food and booze despite it all proves how messed up I am too. Once we've satisfied our stomachs, Odette hits me with a threatening gaze. Just to be clear, don't try and contact him in secret, you hear me? If you do, then let's just say I know how to make people wish they were dead. She says this perfectly acceptable, like it's a perfectly acceptable topic to bring up during a meal. Yeah. We'll keep this alliance going till it's just the two of us left. Oh, so now you're gonna act like the head honcho, huh? Bah, come on, you know I meant it. Don't hit me, alright? I'm going to talk to Ro if you do. Now that's a sense of humor I can appreciate. She lets out a raucous laugh. I can tell it's phony. Odette's the kind of person that walks a thin line at times while making sure that everyone else thinks otherwise. Not that I'm one to talk, because I do the same thing myself. She said she wants to avoid us both electing Ro, but another reason she's refusing to tell me his regret is because she knows there's a chance he has info on her. The fact that I've only realized such a simple truth proves now that I'm still in no position to get the advantage over her. Jumping ship to Ro's side would do more worse than good for me too. So basically I'm best off remaining her ally. I've got to say, it feels good to smack around big guys like him. Should have given him another one for the hell of it. You were enjoying every moment of that, weren't you? Oh, you could tell. Honestly, it's hard to beat the rush you get when you know someone's life is in your hands. You'd be a real dumbass to earn the wrath of someone this insane. Having finished our business, all that's left is to wait until the second round is ready to start. Ah, we're back! Finally, we're back with some real people that actually matter. Rinka. I missed Rinka so much. Federico and Odette, I mean, they're alright and all, but Rinka's the real one right here. There's been no progress at all these past few days in regard to divine selection. Let's go with Miharu, because that's the person I care about the most. Nothing's really changed between me and Miharu ever since the whole thing started. That's not true. There's actually been a significant change. I'm referring to the fact that we're both just acting as though nothing's changed. As for Naomi, I've been seeing her more and more recently. Okay, so it was going to tell us either way. We just picked the one that we wanted to hear first. That's mainly due to my teaching her how to brew coffee for the culture festival. She spilled boiling water and folded the filter wrong a good number of times, but fortunately none of the cups have been broken yet. That's likely due to the fact that she's aware how much my grand treasures them, so she takes extra care despite her inherent clumsiness. Might as well go to bed. I say this out loud for no reason. From what I remember, I was taken to the dream world at midnight last time. Might as well go to sleep and see if that'll happen. I glance over at the clock, which says 11 p.m., and then I shut my eyes. So are we sleeping all the way till noon? Because it said 12 p.m. I guess so. I guess it doesn't matter whether I'm awake or asleep. I find myself in the court of fate once again. It's as impressive as ever. and as I figured, it didn't matter whether or not I was asleep when the time comes. To my left is Miharu, and to my right is the Middle Eastern man. I take brief glances at both of their faces, opting not to engage with either of them. Part of me is afraid of the man. He doesn't seem fazed by the fact that he has eliminated someone last time. Yeah, he's kind of a dick. I can't imagine that I'd remain that stoic, knowing I'd just stolen someone's future from them. I mean, technically everyone is already dead. You just stole... He didn't steal anything. He just sent her to death. Like, in my opinion, if you were gonna lose, I'd rather lose at the beginning and not have this... Am I going to lose this time? Am I going to lose this time? Am I gonna lose this time? Knowing that... Like, it would be... I would not be able to do what these two are doing. Because, I mean, I don't know if I would live or not. And, honestly, it would be hard for me to assume that I was going to live because it would be hard to gather information on these other people, especially with so many of them far out in the world. For Rinka, she doesn't have this kind of information that she can just gather on people because she's stuck in Japan. She's a teenage girl, you know? She can't go out and buy plane tickets like Odette and Frederico can and just fly all over the world chasing after one person, you know? She doesn't have that advantage that some of these other people, these adults have. But I also think that what he did wasn't necessarily wrong, especially considering that they're all already dead. So you're not stealing anyone's future away from them. It's more of fighting for either your own or, like in Miharu's case, fighting for someone else's life for them to be truly resurrected. I have to wonder, though, the way that the goddess there spoke, if their time is erased, so then maybe people will remember the incident that occurred that killed them. I don't know how that's going to go down exactly, because if all of this still happens and then you just disappear one day, that'll certainly be interesting. But I gotta say that Rinka is at a huge disadvantage. Like, the other people can fly all over the world chasing after people and gaining information on them, but she is stuck. She's a high school student. She has to wait for them to come to her, basically. And it's not like they know that she's Japanese, because that's part of the game, is that everyone, no matter what language they're speaking, they're automatically hearing it in their own language, and they can speak in this kind of universal language. So it's definitely interesting to consider all of these variables when taking this into consideration. None of the other participants speak to each other. Instead, we allow an oppressive silence to rule the court. Good evening, my love... Oh, wait. Good evening, my lovely little slaves of fate. The one to break the silence is none other than the girl we've all grown familiar with. She stands in the middle of the court, her posture as elegant as ever. I really like her design, though she does seem to be a little crazy, but that's totally fine. I mean, she's a goddess. It's hard to live for, infinite time and not be crazy at this point. I mean, look at Zeus. I'm fairly sure she wasn't here when I arrived, yet she's here now. I assume this is what it'd feel like if you saw someone teleport in front of you. She actually might be teleporting, though, assuming the whole thing about being a goddess is true. I see you're all in rather... I see your spirits are still rather high, much to my disappointment. Has the reality of your deaths yet to hit you? Just hearing her speak helps convince me she's not lying about being a goddess. You can tell she's looking down on us based on her ruthlessness, which somehow seems fitting for a goddess. I've definitely reevaluated my thoughts on her over the past week. Oh, we're getting a close-up of her now. This is the same photo, isn't it? The artwork in this... Oh, no, this is a different photo. You can tell by her face. I love the artwork in this game, man. I'm going to have to add it to my computer background that's flashing all over the back. Very well, then allow us to begin tonight's election. she softly announces the beginning of the end. Revolve, O clock of fate! In response to her command, the hands of the clock begin to move. The long minute hand points at me. I didn't notice that the first round thanks to my circumstances. But this is basically the method of confirming whether or not participant wants to elect someone. I'll pass, Rinka. Makes sense. Miharu opts not to elect anyone either. The man appointed as numeral I does the same. He's tall and wears a suit. I assume he's European based on his facial features. That reminds me, how is it determined what we'll be wearing while here? I sincerely doubt he'd be sleeping in a suit. So did he get brought here while awake? That's the thing, though, is that I guess there it's is that where it's noon? Well, no, it said JST. It said 12 p.m. JST, which confuses me because JST I assume is Japanese Standard Time, which means that Rinka should be here at noon. I sincerely doubt he's sleeping in a suit, so did he get brought here while awake? Should probably the case. Not like what you're wearing at the time reflects what you'll be wearing in here either. The fact that I'm wearing my school uniform despite going to bed in my pajamas proves that. As for Miharu, she's also in her school uniform. This outfit doesn't stand out too much, so I doubt anyone could identify it without taking a picture first. But that doesn't change the fact that info on me is out in the open. I can't do anything about it as long as I don't understand how to influence my appearance, though. Putting that aside, I take a look at the other participants again. Out of everyone, numeral 7 is the only one who's visibly distressed. Maybe Parka was just acting senile before. There's no doubt he'll be elected tonight. I'm sure that's what everyone else is thinking too. There's likely nothing in common between us all other than juncture of causality thing Parka was mentioned before. Our ages, gender, and nationality are all over the place. Wait! That's the chick that exploded the train! Number 4. So she died with fire. So that makes sense. So I don't know whether Rinka died because of the fire or the initial explosion or what. But we know that number 4 died because of the fire. So that means that Rinka also had to have died because of the fire, because the bomb exploded in her bag right next to her. If she didn't die via explosion, then Rinka could not have died because of explosion either. So we know that 4 and Rinka both have fire as their cause of death. In fact, they died by the exact same event. Which is kind of scary if you think about it, because number 4, if she remembers her death the same way that Rinka does... Then maybe she has all the info on Rinka already. Either that or at least the cause of death, because she's the one who caused it. I wonder what she was thinking, though. I don't know anything about the blonde-haired chick, though. But she's got the little one band and then the cross. That's like generic anime hairstyle number 1. There's gotta be, like, the chick from Comic Girls did it. And then, from, what's it called? Is this the Order of the Rabbit, I think? Is that what it's called? The one with the cute little girls in the Rabbit Cafe? She's known for having her hair up in the one clip and then the clips crossing, as well. Both are girls and foreigners from what I can tell. Why did kids so young as them had to die? The fact that I can only come to know the reason through eliminating them is nauseating. Before I know it, the clock hand moves its way to numeral 11, XI. It's a tall woman built almost like a sports athlete. Not only are her legs nice and long, but her chest is sizable as well. Okay. You can tell there's no way in the world that she's Japanese based on her looks. I'm normally jealous of tall people because of my height, but even I know it's impossible for me to ever look like that. The hand stops at her. Ah! I feel like our eyes met all of a sudden, probably because I've been staring at her for so long. Eek! I avert my eyes immediately. I don't know why, but my instincts are telling me to fear her. She's not normal. Not just because of her build. There's something fundamentally different between her and regular people like me. It's a different fear than the one I feel in relation to numeral 12. Part of me gets worried as I'm about to be elected, but as I expect, she goes straight for number VII, number 7. The small hour hand spins to point it toward him. The platforms both of them are standing on begin to emit an odd light. After that, the minute hand shifts to numeral 12, who simply shakes his head. Looks like he's not electing anyone tonight. Number 11 elects number 7. Very well. Parka smiles once the longer hand finishes making its way around. It's not the face one would normally make when they know someone is about to be eliminated. Both of their platforms start to move and gradually rise above us. The same thing happened last time, too. Only one of them will return. I take my eyes off the rising platform after muttering that. It doesn't take long for them to finish. As I expect, it's the woman who returns. She reports the results to Parka, her expression one of obvious displeasure. I got number V's name. The damn geezer was a wuss right until the end. Number V looks like the oldest person of us all. He's most likely Japanese. He doesn't react when she mentions that she's learned his name, although he might be feigning indifference. In fact, the woman seems to be more transparent with her emotions than him. She's the complete opposite of numeral 12, when he's elected and eliminated someone. Well, he's displayed no emotion at all. She's openly annoyed, but deep down she seems to be enjoying this. She reminds me of a kid who gets angry when they lose a game, but secretly enjoyed the experience. Tonight's session resulted in one elimination. I bid you all farewell for now. I want more time to observe things here, but Parka brings an end to tonight's round without a moment's hesitation. Unlike the first round, I've come away from this having learned a lot more. Unfortunately, this only serves to give me an even worse feeling about the days to come. So it's an every week thing. So over the course of potentially 11 weeks, but they also could have multiple eliminations. Oh, so we're back with Federico. By the time Odette eliminates Ro, morning has come. I can't even remember whether I was awake or asleep when we got taken into the dream world. It's partially due to the fact that I didn't have the time difference between here and Japan into account. But from now on, I should make sure to remain more alert on Sundays. Once we've gotten ready to leave, we call room service and brings us up some breakfast. So in the end, what was Ro's regrets? I figured you would have known by now. You even mentioned it yourself. I did. I think back to my previous suggestions, albeit without much confidence. So, did it have something to do with his lover? Oh boy, you really don't have a clue. She gulps down the rest of her Americano before continuing. Gotta say, she really likes espresso branded based drinks, doesn't she? God. Dog related. Dog? What do you mean? Yes and no. A dog, not his lover's. He wanted to raise one. To be there for it as a pup. To become best friends with it and grow as it grows older. And to be by its side during its last moments. Wow. It sounds mundane, but few people are able to experience something like that. Part of me finds it hard to believe that someone can have that much regret over a dog. Come on, everyone has their own priorities. Ain't it normal to have a pet or two where you're from? Where I am from, huh? I'm not fond of having talked about myself, so I try to shift topics. Mind if I asked how you figured that out? I thought it might be the case when you mentioned his lover had a dog of her own. But I did a little digging after that, and bingo, turns out his wife has dog allergies, so no surprise he couldn't own one. She spills every last bean of his personal life after that. His parents, who lived in the countryside, had a dog when he lived with them during his youth. That dog was killed in a traffic accident, though. Ooh. His family refused to get another pet after that, since the sudden shock that came from losing it was too much for them. That's fair. And that led to the birth of Rose's great regret. He wished he could have been there for a family's dog's final moments. I can get where he's coming from, but I can't imagine it turning into your life's biggest regret, he scoffs in response. Believe it or not, but this brute actually has a soft spot for animals. Hell, her ultimate regret might be dog-related as well. Not like you can keep a pet when you're always out at sea. Either way, the discussion moves from Roe shortly after that. Over the course of his life, he kept too busy and too financially unstable to own a pet, and once he got married and settled down, he discovered that his wife had allergies. Guess we'll never know whether or not he convinced his lover to get a dog because of that, or if he went with her because she already owned one. Hell, she could have just been some lady he hired to look after his secret pet dog. Odette's the only one with those answers now. I mean, they kissed though, didn't they? So that would be a little awkward to just hire someone to do that, but I mean, whatever. Oh well, probably shouldn't concern myself over someone who's been eliminated. Jeez, it's harsh. So, what did the news have to say about him? The goddess said that anyone eliminated during divine selection would have the reversal of their deaths undone. Not only that, but any events linked to that time period would also be undone. See for yourself. She flings her smartphone across the table to me in response. I don't even need to browse the web based on her reaction, so I give a casual glance towards the screen before handing it back. 2 weeks ago, an executive from a well-known Chinese corporation suffered a stroke during a meeting and died. Yeah, sounds about right. Speaking of which, you were taken up by the Court of Fate when you elected Roe, right? What is it like up there? I started to find myself curious about how the election process works. Well, it's a bit of a pain to explain, but I guess it'll be worth it for you to know down the road. She doesn't seem to be sure at first, but she decides to take the time to give me a premiere, and a really long premiere at that. Premiere at that. Even for someone who talks as much as she does. Oh, so she's going to recall the events. The circular platform Odette and Roe were standing on began to rotate as they were raised above by the Court of Fate. Upon reaching a certain height, they stopped ascending. The layout of the upper area was similar to the lower stadium, but parts of it felt different somehow. The goddess, displaying her usual wry smile, had made her own ascent before either participant could blink. Do proceed! After ascending, all the cards in Odette's possession sprung out from her book at once. A strange light surrounded them, masking both their number and contents from everyone's view except Odette's. So, do I just say what info I have on him out loud? You wretched wench! Do as you please with the cards in your possession. Odette's eyes scanned across the cards in front of her. She currently had 9 cards, including her own. Among them were 3 specific cards she needed to read aloud. She had 9 cards. We don't know all of them, do we? No, we only know 5. She has 4 more cards already figured out. Holy shit. That's actually kind of wild. Not gonna lie. Interesting. She brushes her fingers against them before speaking. Yo, I like her hair ornaments up here. They're really cute. Ro Chanho! Please don't. I'm begging you. Cause of death. A stroke. You realize I have a family, don't you? How do you plan to account for them after killing me? Cease this nonsense now. I can always recompense you handsomely. Money, stocks, or even land. You name it and I can provide it. Christ, you're pathetic. Please, I'll give you as much as you want. I'll even give you access to my credit details. You'll never have to work a day in your life. His regret was his dog. It's over. It's all over. Sorry, but you can't put a price on my life. And more importantly, when it comes to competitions, I'm always in it to win it. Once Odette finished, 3 of her cards floated away from her. After reaching the middle of the court of fate, they came together and formed a triangle shape. I mean, that really wasn't that long of an explanation. Okay. Nice knowing ya, geezer. Who knows whether or not he could hear her last words to him. He simply hung his head in despair, realizing his fate had been sealed. One by one, Odette's cards began to emit a white light. May fortune shine on the departed, she said. The said light got brighter and brighter until it eventually blanketed the entire area. And then it happened. In a brief moment, that Odette's vision was blinded by the light enveloping the area. Her consciousness was overtaken by an unfamiliar scene. Her senses were linked to the scene as well. Did she get to, like, see his life or something? She witnessed a number of old, chubby men, all wearing expensive suits and sitting in an oddly bright room. Their faces were all twisted into expressions of boredom. The artificial light in the room was almost blinding when it reflected off the documents they had brought along. It was apparent that they had been holding some sort of meeting. She could tell that it was one of great importance, judging by the tone of their voices. However, she was unable to hear the details of their conversation. Some manner of interference prevented her from doing so. And then the unexpected struck. All of a sudden, her vision went blurry. Next, her face slammed down on the table with a thud. She was unable to muster the strength to move her body whatsoever. She collapsed down onto the floor. The unclear voices were now clearly being directed toward her. Eventually, her unconscious faded, and she lost all bodily sensation. A stream of memories flowed. All manner of people were talking to her, but it was impossible to make out a single word they were saying. Regardless, the sense of disconnect she felt at that moment made it clear what was going on. These were Roe's memories. Memories of the moment he died, engraved upon his very soul. As he drew his last breath, Roe's thoughts of his dog that died when he was young. Yep. By the time the flashback ended, Roe had disappeared from Odette's sight. The cards she used to elect him did the same, and the room returned to its usual gloomy atmosphere. One thing she noticed was that a beam of light that shone from above had grown thicker, although she wasn't sure whether or not it was just her imagination. So the electors are forced to experience the death of the elected, huh? You sure are messed up in the head, aren't you? Oh, so she experienced it all. Like, the pain of having a stroke and everything? And, like, legitimately dying? That's crazy. Heh. Parka opted to respond with nothing besides her wry smile. In her hand were 3 cards. Odette realized these were the cards that were in Roe's possession. Numeral 5's name, numeral 11's name, and numeral 11's cause of death. Which would you like? So 2 of them were Odette, and the other one was number 5's name, which is why she chose the one that wasn't related to her. The platform on which Odette stood began to move soon after Parka asked her question. Do take your time to think about it while we descend. Ain't much of a choice, is it? While she had imagined the outcome, the fact that she was on the money left her visibly annoyed. Following that, both her and Parka lowered to the lower floor of the Court of Fate. And there she took the number 5 name. Well, well. I try to imagine everything she's just explained to me. Basically, you're forced to experience the same death as those you eliminate. That should be kind of crazy, like with the explosion and dying. I wonder about some of that, though. Like, how long did it take Rinka to die? Because clearly, I mean, she saw the fire as she was dying. So honestly, it'd probably take a few minutes of her burning alive to die, probably, I'd assume. I don't know, like, she had to have had all of her feelings left. Like, I feel like the other chick that caused the explosion in the first place, I also wonder about that as well, because she caused the explosion in the first place. So she had to have known that she probably was going to die. So I'm really kind of confused on, what her thought process was, and if she's even going to try to win this circular round of fate. Because, I mean, if you were trying to commit suicide or something, or you were a suicide bomber, like, what's the point in going back? You know what I'm saying? Um, I- though I don't know what her life is like, or where she's even at. Like, where do you wake up? Did she wake up like near the? I mean, because Rinka woke up at her house in a rewritten future where that explosion never happened, and I've got to wonder about, like, in that particular case, you know how many people probably died from that explosion? There had to be multiple people who died from that one explosion, because it wasn't like Rinka was right next to the bomb. You know what I'm saying? There had to have been several people that died from that explosion. And if they're not all back, where did they go? Are people looking for them? And, like, or are, like, seven of these people, actually from that bomb explosion that she had caused? That would be kind of crazy as well. But we're going to find out the answers to most of these questions when we come back as we play throughout the game. So make sure you click that thumbs up button down below for me, because you already know your support is greatly appreciated. Click that subscribe button to stay tuned for future content. And in the next episode, we'll keep moving on as we go through week 3 of this game.